I want to sit with you for a few minutes and talk about something that I think a lot of people are carrying quietly: the pain of someone who hurt you, and the confusion that comes with it, the kind that doesn't go away no matter how much time passes. I'm not here to tell you to forgive anyone. I'm not here to tell you what happened was okay, or that you should go back to a situation that hurt you. I just want to share something I discovered slowly over the years that changed the way I move through life. It has to do with understanding, real understanding, and what it actually does for you when you find it. When someone hurts us, the mind reaches for a question almost immediately. How could they? It feels like the right question. It feels like the question that, if answered, would finally give us peace. But I want to offer you something gently. That question, how could they, is a question that has no exit, because it puts you at the center of the story. And when you're at the center, everything the other person did can only be understood as something done to you. That makes the other person a villain. And villains, by their nature, do not make sense. That's what makes them villains. They're just dark, inexplicable, and wrong. So your mind keeps returning, keeps turning the moment over and over again, keeps looking for logic inside a story that was never built to contain any. And you stay there, not because you want to, but because the question you're asking doesn't have a door. There is a different question. It doesn't come naturally. It takes a kind of stillness to even hear it. But when you find it, when you really sit with it, it changes things. The question is this: what was this person carrying that made them capable of what they did? Not why did they target me, not what's wrong with them, but what weight were they holding that they didn't know how to put down without dropping it onto someone else? What had they never healed? What had they never been taught? What fear were they living inside that they couldn't even name? This question does something the first one can't. It makes the other person human again. Not innocent, not forgiven, just human. Flawed, limited, wounded in ways that probably had nothing to do with you specifically, even if you were the one who felt it. And the moment someone becomes human to you, fully, honestly human, the grip of it loosens. Not all at once, but slowly, the way a stream of water shapes stone. Not by force, but by presence. I'll tell you something from my own life. I grew up without a father. He was gone early, illness and alcoholism. Before I was old enough to really know him, my mother raised me alone, without any money, support, or partner, carrying everything by herself for a child who didn't yet understand what everything meant. And sometimes that weight, the weight she was holding alone, came out in ways that hurt me, physically, in ways that left marks. For years, I carried something heavy about that, a question I couldn't answer. How could someone who loves me do something like that to me? But it wasn't until I started sitting quietly with myself that the question began to shift. I stopped asking how could she, and I started asking what was she carrying? A woman who had just lost her partner, who had no financial safety, never been taught how to hold her own pain without it spilling it onto the people around her. She made real mistakes. I'm not denying that. But when I saw the weight, when I really let myself see it, I stopped seeing someone who chose to hurt me. And I started seeing someone who was drowning. Something loosened in my chest that day, and not immediately, not completely, but it did loosen. And I understood something I've carried with me since. We are all travelers in this life, every one of us, moving through terrain we didn't fully choose, with tools we were given or never given, just doing the best we can with what we have. Some people's best is not good enough, it still causes harm, but understanding that is not the same as excusing it. I want to be honest about something. This is not something you do for the person who hurt you. They may never know. They may not deserve it. They may not even be alive anymore. This is entirely for you. Because here's what I've observed in myself and in the people I've walked alongside. As long as someone's actions remain a mystery, they still have a hold on you. Your mind keeps going back. It keeps trying to solve it, keeps reopening the wound in search of logic that isn't there. But understanding, even partial, incomplete understanding, gives your mind somewhere to land. It doesn't close the wound, but it stops the wound from being constantly reopened by a question without an answer. And slowly, the way a traveler moves through difficult terrain, you find you're further along than you thought. Not because the pain disappeared, but because you stopped fighting it and started moving through it. I want to leave you with something simple. Think of the person, the one whose actions still don't fully make sense to you. And instead of asking what they did to you, ask what life did to them. What were they never given? What were they never taught? What pain were they in that they didn't know how to carry without passing it to someone else? You don't have to answer today. You don't have to feel warmth toward them. You don't have to do anything with the answer except let it quietly exist. Because I believe from everything I've lived and everything I've seen, that understanding is one of the most courageous things you can offer yourself. That's kindness. And you do that not because it makes the past okay, but because it finally lets you leave it there and keep traveling.